Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. Thank you for tuning in. Let's waste no more time and analyze what's happening right now, and of course what we could be expecting as we are going further into the week. Today is a very exciting day because we did see a little bit of a retracement yesterday, as I did mention to you guys, but today we are starting to see the market picking it back up. As you can see, a lot of coins, majority of them are actually up right now, which of course is always nice to see. Some actually double-digit gainers. So is this really that reversal? Have we seen the retracement that we have seen just over the course of the last 24 hours? If you're looking at the price of XRP, it's holding really nicely, at $2.92. We're down about 1.2% in USD, but we're up 0.5% in Bitcoin. Comparative market cap has actually increased since last night, sitting at 172.6 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 7.5 billion. But as always, just a quick disclaimer before we begin: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So Bitcoin's all-time high leads all trending token discussions. Ethereum, XRP, Pepe, and MicroStrategy also seeing heavy trader interest. Usually this does tend to happen. Me as a content creator, I see this firsthand. When you start to see more interest coming in towards the crypto industry, you do tend to see a lot of interest coming to these coins that we're not seeing as much interest beforehand. And that's something we have discussed, of course, on the channel before. If you follow my channel regularly, I've been quite stating before this major breakout that a lot of people are not focusing how good the consolidation is. Rather, they're focusing on that the price is not breaking out and retail interest was not at the levels you would want it to be. But right now it's starting to increase, which really gives us a better understanding that people are starting to pay attention to the markets. But look at this. Breaking. President Trump says happy crypto week, and says Congress will vote on the bill to make America the undisputed #1 leader in digital assets. And on top of that, look at this: final deadlines for the XRP ETF filings with the SEC. You're noticing a very similar pattern, and what I mean by that is Grayscale XRP ETF final deadline October 18th, 21 shares October 2025, Bitwise October, Canary October, Wisdom October. So will the SEC approve a spot XRP ETF before October 2025? Obviously, if you've been following the channel, that's pretty much been the consensus. That's what a lot of people have been speculating upon, that Q4 of this year is somewhere where you do see the ETFs going live. Is this really aligning in terms of timing? I think this would be perfect. And maybe before that time, you see the likes of Fidelity, or maybe even BlackRock coming in the picture, because there's still a lot of time. It doesn't require months and months and months to really file for an ETF. Maybe that happens, and maybe before that we see some sort of a resolution in regards to the SEC lawsuit finally being dropped by the judge. If that were to be the case, maybe that's where you do see BlackRock coming in the picture, or Fidelity. But you could really start to see all these puzzle pieces are starting to align, and the future looks very, very exciting. But look at this: Nvidia just gained $200 billion in a market cap. $200 billion. And this should really show you how small the crypto industry is, because what it has just gained literally in the market, $200 billion. That's more than the market cap of XRP. When you put that into perspective, that makes you understand how small the crypto industry is. The entire crypto market hasn't even hit $4 trillion. It's at $3.8 trillion right now in terms of valuation. And you're looking at one or two, like one stock in the actual equity market is at that valuation of the entire crypto space. This is why there's so much interest coming in, and I think this market is going to emerge, and it's going to get to crazy valuations much quicker than especially now as the floodgates are opening. This would really take crypto to the masses, as we have discussed in the past. But look at this: July 2025, corporates are accumulating XRP on their balance sheets. We've been discussing that. XRP by holdings by public companies corporates are raising millions to add XRP as a primary treasury asset. And we've heard about some of these companies that have done that. And I think I literally stated this to you guys yesterday in our update that, I think we're going to see more of this happening. Of course, remember, Trinity and Webus announced their plans to raise $500 million and $300 million respectively to add XRP as their primary treasury assets. And I think it's not going to stop here. It's going to be more and more bigger companies coming on board and doing this, which of course brings in more excitement towards, the price of XRP. And look at this. I know this got a lot of people confused. Shout out to Eleanor. Many of the House members who voted no today had concerns with the Genius Act possibly enabling a CBDC. However, there is language in Genius that would explicitly prohibit the Fed from creating a retail CBDC. The section below says the bill shall not be constructed as expanding the Fed's authority to offer services directly to the public, meaning it cannot authorize things like digital wallets, personal accounts, or anything that veers into CBDC territory. But what's really interesting is Caitlin Long's response. Before y'all freak out, don't forget that the first procedural vote in the Senate on the Genius Act failed as well. The second one passed 11 days later. They're not doing any votes today, but I do personally believe that it's inevitable at this point. The crypto is not going to get stopped regardless. I think it's inevitable, and we are going to see this happening. But let's take a look at what's happening with the price. So dominance has fallen below the 64.1%. A huge deal here, guys. We're looking at some of the levels we haven't seen since July. This is amazing to see. We've discussed the potential of this happening, and we dropped below that range that I've dropped for you guys yesterday. This is huge for altcoin holders. Let's give Bitcoin a refresh live. Bitcoin is currently sitting at 117,400. It's ranging nicely. As I stated to you guys in our last update, you want to see a consolidation really starting to play out for BTC before we start heading more towards the upside. You want to see sideways consolidation before we start heading more towards the upside. But if you're looking at XRP here, it's holding really nicely. We're actually sitting at about $2.91. The reason why it's that because, of course, dominance has pulled down right at if you're looking at XRP holding really nicely just below that psychological $3 level as to be expected. But I am anticipating that, we do see this push sooner rather than later. If we break out of this range and turn this into support, I'm obviously targeting all-time highs. Let me know down below what your personal thoughts are in regards to this. And what excites you the most? What are your price predictions for XRP at the end of the year? We'll see you later. Been Crypto ZX, and peace out.